I was actually thinking about it before I spoke to you, and then I got into the conversation.
Yeah. It's really good to record. I also recorded for Alex and I sent it to him because it's helpful. Then you can come back if you're not sure if you got something right, you can watch it again. So you're finding that point with the middle finger. You're feeling around first. I like to just close my eyes, take a deep breath, and really go into like, okay, I'm gonna feel into my body. What do I feel in my body? Do I feel contraction, tenderness, pain? Density, is the tissue dense and contracted?
There's one spot where it's tender a little bit.
Yeah,
I
so go to the
feel where it is.
go to the tender point, whatever's the most tender.
Yeah,
And not only tender, but you can work with wherever it feels dense and contracted.
that's what it feels dense.
Yeah. So that's what we want to release. We want to release some of the density. So essentially what we're doing is we're thinking about how can I release some of the density by we're thinking about not massaging it or digging into it with a ball or something or foam rolling, because you know what happens when we do that? Sometimes it causes more inflammation. People don't realize that. So they'll dig in or they'll have somebody press in really hard, and that actually causes more inflammation. So the body starts to get inflamed because the blood starts to circulate there, which inflammation is a good thing. However, too much inflammation causes more pressure and then more pain. So, and more tingling, right? So I say, let's try a different approach. Work from the inside out, healing from the inside out. So the way that we're going to do this is we hold our finger on the point, and then we're going to place your elbow against either the wall, if you have a wall next to you, okay? Or you can do it against the table maybe. I don't know. It depends on what you have near you. I say, like, try both. Right?
Okay.
But the idea here is what we're trying to do is we're trying to slacken the muscles. So we're bringing the shoulder close to the ear.
To the ear.
So that you're shortening all of the muscles there. So let me give you a little bit of a visual. Okay, so this is the muscle in the upper back over there in the back. You're going to think about not stretching it, right? Stretching that would be doing this, right? Like, sorry, it would be like this. Bringing the arm all the way across in the front would stretch the back. What you're going to think about is doing the complete opposite, slackening. How can I slacken the muscles so that when my finger is on the belly of the muscle with my hand, I'm causing the tissue to feel super, super soft. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So you can, ideally for this area, you could even bring the elbow up here a little higher than 90-degree angle and leaning against the wall and pushing in. Or for this angle at the desk and pushing in and going up is more for this area. So that's if you want to release this area, right? So going from here,
when I do it this way, I feel it's releasing a little bit.
It might, because it's still slackening, right? Because again, all we're doing is slackening. So sometimes it's enough to just hold your body in that slackened position where it feels soft. And then all you're gonna do is hold with that middle finger. You gotta keep that middle finger on that opposite hand there, just to notify the brain and the body, this is where I want the release to happen. That makes sense?
That makes full sense.
Yeah, so I'm just holding this position. I'm holding it for 5 slow seconds. So I usually hold it and I'm like, in my head, I'm like 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I bring the arm down. I move it around a little bit to let it integrate. Take the hand off, right? Let it just integrate a little bit. And then you're going to press in again and retest it and check if it's softened a little bit. And then retest with the other side too. You might want to compare to the other side. You might press in, so if you see that there's any changes. We're looking for a change where our body feels like, I can let go now. So this conversation with the nervous system that's happening is that we put the body into the position of ease, which is called a positional release. We're finding that positional release. We're holding for 5 slow seconds. And then we're releasing. In fact, for you, because it's so tight, I would say you can hold it for longer than 5 seconds, maybe even find a position that feels super comfortable and slackened, even a general position, and hold that for like 30 seconds up to a minute.
Just to relax everything.
Just to relax everything, because it feels good to do that. Now, how do we relax that part of our body? You want to compress it in. So anyone who's gotten a session with me knows that I often, like, if there's tension here, I'm going to pull your shoulder back to compress it in, and I'm going to hold it there, and I'm going to wait while your body starts to percolate very subtly. It starts to just release and let go of tension. And sometimes years of tension can release in seconds with this technique, you know? So it's very effective. So I'll just show you next to here on my wall, right, is I'm gonna be, I like this 90-degree angle if it's going straight in. So it's good for up here, it's good for back there, but also you wanna think about, like, okay, so if it's higher up here, you're gonna have to bring the elbow lower, right? So table, things like that. If it's more lower back here, you might have to bring the elbow a little higher. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you go directly across, trying to slacken the tissue.
Yeah, you want to smash it. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to smash it. You want to compress. Compress. All about compressing. Exactly. So what we have when we compress, it's like when you hug a child who's got who has autism, you know, and a child has a tantrum, or even any child, if you hug them and you compress them and you squeeze their body, like, and you make them feel safe, they start to relax. Because, you know, it may work, may sometimes not work, right? Depends. But that's essentially a technique that they use in occupational therapy as an example for someone who has a tantrum, is to squeeze them, you know? Unless they have claustrophobia, then no, you don't. Yeah, like my ex-wife, she had claustrophobia. Like if she's freaking out, you cannot like squeeze her and
not reassure her physically.
Huh?
You couldn't reassure her at all by a contact.
No, because she needed to be free and relaxed, because she felt like she was claustrophobic because she got tied down when she was a child. It's a long story, but our body remembers. You know, the hospital, they tied her down to give her an injection in Bulgaria, and like it's like barbaric, but they do that, I guess, to kids because they have to give them an injection, and she was moving around too much, so they like tied her down for a little bit, and it made her feel this fear of claustrophobia in her body. Until today, she still has it. It's crazy. So yeah, you know, and it's funny because even like, can you imagine, like, she used to wear a bracelet on her hand, like from a party. You know, when you go to a party and they give you these plastic bracelets, okay, but like really strong plastic bracelet, it's hard to get off. You have to like really pull it off or cut it. If she feels like it's too tight on her wrist and she can't pull it off, she starts to freak out. Yeah, and then she's like, get it off, I feel claustrophobic. I'm like, it's a bracelet. Like, same thing with the ski boots that happened to her. It's trauma. It's trauma. Our nervous system and our body, it's PTSD. It's a micro PTSD essentially. And so compression.
Sorry, but is it what we address also when we do constellations? Carrying the trauma of our ancestors within ourselves and everything. This is different because it's a direct trauma from our lifetime. But we're talking about ancestors and what we're carrying also in the body.
Yeah, so we also have past life ancestry trauma, and every Jewish person like me has Holocaust in our veins and blood in our nervous system. And then every, you know, African American might have some slavery, right? It's old stuff. I mean, it's like, it's so interesting. So I feel like almost all of us, all cultures, have some sort of trauma from many years ago in our ancestry, in our lines, in our lineage. Where it is in our body, our nervous system, because it's genetically passed down, and they've proven it scientifically. Can you imagine? They somehow, I don't know who or how, but they were Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza talk about this. I'm pretty sure that they show the science and talk about DNA, and like they somehow found a way to like show that
there's traces of
the trauma, like through the lineage. I don't know. Yeah, okay. I don't understand the science behind it, but I intuitively feel that to be really accurate.
Definitely, yeah.
And also that's why a lot of diseases and illnesses, I believe they're also coming from, and that's why people who have diseases that are genetic, it's also passed down, you know, through the DNA and the lineage. So that's a good position. Another thing you can do is you can even just like find a way to do this where you're pulling the scapula and shoulder blade back. Maybe even like I like to place my hand on a chair behind me or like the floor.
Yeah.
Right? And to just do that, like really
Yeah.
compressing more and slackening it more. And in fact, a lot of yoga poses will actually go into certain positions like this. And if you go into certain positions and hold it, not where you're stretching the body, but where you're compressing, you're slackening. Like the bow pose in yoga, when you do the bow pose, you know that one, right? So it's like you're stretching the whole front of the body.
Yeah.
So what happens to the back of the body is you're compressing the whole spine and the whole back of the body. So embedded in the yoga asanas, and some of them, most of them actually, but there's this principle of healing where you're stretching one part of the body, but you're slackening the other. When you do that, what it does is it integrates the nervous system and the body and balances everything out. So fascinating.
It's fascinating. I never
science, like, and I don't know how they created this in India like so many years ago. It's like a science of like just how to balance the whole body.
The whole body.
But meanwhile, there's teachers who are teaching now. Yoga keeps me in business. People get hurt all the time with yoga because people are doing it incorrectly. They're doing it forcefully. They're doing it fast. They're not ready for it. Maybe they're doing yoga that's for like some, let's say, believe it or not, some Indian yoga or yoga that's from India like that. It's for the agricultural age. People are on the fields. But the yoga of today needs to be honoring that people are sitting at their desk all day. Yeah. So they're going to have to do different things, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it has to like evolve with us as humans.
With the times. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's why it's tricky with yoga. Like I love it, but then I also feel like it can harm people. And if you don't have the right technique, the right style, there's so many styles, and each style is different for each body type, for each personality type, for each dosha. If you look at the Vedas, right, Ayurvedic work, or like each constitution essentially, right? In all forms of medicine, like homeopathy, there's a constitution, there's a way that we show up in our body. So you want to be specific with your exercises for that.
Yeah, and with your teacher. I think,
yeah, you do. You want to vibe with the teacher. The teacher has to move you through the right way. You have to feel comfortable with the class. You have to feel good after, not like in pain, you know.
Depleted or whatever,
Yeah, exactly. Some teachers will deplete us and do too much of certain breath works, too much of certain things, like certain Kundalini classes I cannot do. It doesn't make me feel good. So you have to like be mindful.
Yeah.
It's a science, and it's like, you know.
It is. Yeah.
So how does it feel now? Just retest it. Preston, does it feel a little better?
Yeah, it does actually.
I think the way you'll know is if you start to feel the shooting or not, right?
Yeah.
The tingling, right? It's more tingling for you said?
Yeah, but it's really, there's pain, and then it just goes into like this. Sometimes I don't even feel my arm anymore. It's just like
it's like numbing.
It's numbing, and then it goes away. But it's this wind, you know, of like taking away sensations.
I know the feeling. It used to happen to me a lot when I was laying in bed on my cell phone on Instagram.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it just starts to happen. So it's like there's these muscles again that just, when they get tight back there, especially the rhomboids are muscles that are contracting our shoulder blade back. So if we're leaning forward too much, those muscles are going to contract to try to pull your body back. Yeah, it's trying to hold our body up. And so very often too, just doing strengthening exercises to strengthen those muscles is going to help. So doing things like this. So essentially you can do a plank push-up, right? You go into a plank, your arms are extended, you're not bending those elbows, and you're just pulling back, right? You can also do a forearm push-up on the ground. You're on the forearms, and you just do this. It's a very specific movement of contracting your whole upper back. So sometimes that can help. The problem with that is if you do it, you want to be mindful, because sometimes that can cause more inflammation or, how do you say, muscular contraction. Tension. Yeah. So you want to be like using that sparingly. In fact, I would recommend first for you releasing it, and then maybe a day or two later trying to do a little strengthening. Because strengthening is the physical therapy perspective of what a physical therapist would give you to do different types of strengthening exercises. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's also another way of our body balancing itself when you do like these exercises, right? It just integrates. Because right now it's a compensatory pattern, your whole upper back, because your shoulders are forward or you're leaning forward too much, or maybe device or computer use. I don't know.
I'm also a lefty, so I write a lot, and and I'm on my computer, but I write also a lot from my left hand.
Yeah, and you know what?
And I carry my baby. I mean, it's just like,
it's stress too. It's, we have to remember, it's a little bit of everything. It's never one thing. It's never just posture or computer. It's never just sleep either. Some people, oh, maybe I slept wrong. I'm like, maybe not. It's like I would have to follow you around all day to know exactly what it is. but I'll tell you, I know what it is. It's usually stress is the number one. It's like over 90% of people who have any sort of pain, dysfunction, illness, disease, I've found through my 13 years in practice and working with over 10,000 humans till now, a lot of people in the years, I found that stress is the number one. Like, what is stress? It's emotions. It's anger or anxiety or frustration that we're not expressing, we're not feeling, we're feeling too much containment of that energy. And then when the energy is contained and we have pressure and tension and fight, flight, freeze response of the body, that's going into fear-based mode of contraction. And so whatever part of our body is going to contract, and if you have a pattern of your left shoulder, it's going to be there where you feel the pain and where you feel the dysfunction. So I think, even if you had a knee issue in the past, I wouldn't be surprised when you get stressed, you started feeling pain in your knee. It's just that's where the body gives us the pain or the messenger or the signal. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's where the issue is. So it's good that you get that. But,
do you see why, and then I'll let you go, but do you see why when I'm, for example, kneeling down, or why I have usually a problem? Like when I kneel down, or when I, not kneel down, when I squat, I have this sensation shooting.
Like, you feel it when you squat.
I feel it when I squat, like not really squat, when I go down to the level of my baby.
Okay, can you show me?
If I do it, even if I do it, even if I try to talk to her and I'm like, talking to her, and then I'm going to be like very mindful of doing it like this.
Yeah.
Then it's going to go, like right now I feel it. It goes down into my arm, and it has nothing to do with my arm.
You know what's happening? When you do that, when you go into the squat, you're causing more pressure in your body. It's very simple.
Okay.
Right? So if you think about the fascia and the fascial web or the connective tissues in our body, which is like a pressurized system, when you go into that position, you're adding more pressure to the system. Now, believe it or not, sometimes going into that position with high pressure and just holding it there, it's going to release some of the pressure. But I think for you, what's happening is your body is going into like, oh shit, more fear, adding more pressure, more tension, and then it causes you more pressure on the nerves. More like, does that make sense? So
yeah, totally.
I just intuitively, I feel that that's what it is. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, right? It makes sense. Like I always think of it like we have the skin, then we have the fat, then we have the fascia, then we have the muscles. There's all these layers, and they're all under pressure. And when there's inflammation, when there's pain, when there's tightness and too much muscle tightness and contraction or spasm, the pressure builds. And to release the pressure, that's why sometimes even just massaging an area feels temporarily better. But it's very temporary with massage. Why? Because it releases some pressure, but the pressure is still there. The cause is still there, right? We're not actually releasing anything. We're just softening and kind of spreading out the pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not really releasing. So these techniques that I'm showing you today, that I showed you, is a specific positional release, which that fully unlocks the tissues from the inside out, rather than massage, which is just softening and hydrating. Look, massage is great too. In fact, I recommend doing a little bit of massage for yourself before you do this in preparation. Maybe even putting some coconut oil and warm up the area, or gently with a soft foam roll, or have somebody like your husband just like press in, right? But but gentle, right? Because if you use too much force, again, the body's gonna just tense up. And also maybe the force, too much force with massage and acupressure and trigger point work, what it does is it creates micro tears in the muscle fibers. And then that has to cause inflammation. And so then you have inflammation, and then the body has to repair with the inflammation. So it takes a day or two, and then you feel better, but not before you feel sore, not before you're breaking tissue, you know, even if it's a micro tear. So like I say, why do we need to break something up to have the body heal itself and repair when we could just let the body release from the inside out? Okay. And then there's sometimes when there's scar tissue after surgery, we may need to break apart the scar tissue. And that's painful as fuck, like really, it just is. And I've been through there. When I had surgeries in my knee, and you know, it's painful, but the physical therapist, sometimes it's necessary to do that, you know. But I think most of the time when we have stuff like what you're going through, it's not necessary to go into pain. In fact, if you have somebody digging their elbow in your back, let's say, and go to massage, like some of my clients will go to like a Chinese massage and they come back, they're like worse off because the person doesn't know what they're doing. They're just digging into the body. And you're like, ah. And the worst is when I went and I was like, can you go lighter? And they don't even speak English. And then you're like, it's like the worst. It's like, oh my God, it's like you're killing me. And I came up like so much more pain later, you know. And I had to go call my teacher to like fix me, you know. And sometimes we're like, oh my God, it's cheap massage. Let me do it because we love massage. It feels good. But sometimes they just like ruin it.
No, you have to be super aware of who does the massage.
Yeah, so I say, you know, I love massage, but be very mindful with what you think. Like, I love yoga, but I can't do a lot of yoga because I'm just not going to feel good after the class, you know. So
okay, so I'll do that, and then I'll let you know. Let you know. And I already, you know, intuitively I was doing this already. I was going a lot back because it felt better, and also I think it resonates what you're saying with the you know, contracting, because when I sleep, the only position I can sleep in right now is really like this. I contract my shoulder.
Look what I'm doing right now. This is what feels best to my shoulder. My whole upper back right now is relaxing. So on the back of this chair that I'm here, I'm actually holding my elbow on the back of this chair. And I do this sometimes if I'm working on the computer a lot. Intuitively, I just go into this position where I just lean back, especially if I do this on one side like this and focus on that. It's really what's happening is, again, it's slackening everything, you know. And another one you can do is you can bring your arm behind your back, this, and then lay on your side on the floor. So let's say this is the floor right here. I'll demonstrate on the wall. I'm kind of like, but it's easier for me to show you this way. So like this, right? So you see how I pulled it back? Which is a lot of yoga poses, right? Too, right? You see there's certain yoga poses where we do that, right? So I'm pulling it back. I can either use my hand like this, or I can just push against the wall. Right? And it actually feels quite comfortable. So what you want to do is you want to go into these very comfortable, compressed positions of ease and comfort, and then relax there. Maybe close your eyes and breathe. And you don't have to force the breath. Just notice your body will start to release. Like in a session with me, I don't know if you remember, but like your body starts to just breathe deep intuitively. It's not, you don't have to think about, oh, I need to breathe deep. Like with a massage, sometimes you do need to force the breath in and try to relax your nervous system because somebody's forcing in. But with this, you just want to like relax and let it happen.
Flow. And
let
just
it flow.
set the breath there, maybe try to be conscious of what I'm doing.
Try to be really, really conscious, or not try, but be really conscious with it. And then just really just be subtle with your body, tune into your body, be loving and kind and compassionate with it. Realize our body heals itself. We don't need to use force. We can find these very safe positions to lay in. Same thing with sleeping and resting, and you could use pillows and different things to make it feel safe and compressed. And then it's going to just release itself because it feels safe. But as soon as, again, we use force, no good. And so I really recommend just sitting with it. And sometimes, in fact, if you sit down and you just do a different technique, this is another technique that I share with my clients all the time online, is you just sit with the pain. So sit up straight without changing anything, without trying to move your body. You just sit and you feel the tension in your upper back. You can feel it like a ball of tension. Maybe you'll start to feel some energy, some heat, some pulsating, something. If you just sit there and really bring your awareness in the light of your awareness there, almost like you're shining a flashlight there, and you just sit with that for like 10 minutes. Just sit and listen, feel it. You'll feel the tension, but don't try to change it. Don't try to move your body. Don't try to do an exercise, because that's you judging your body and trying to fix it. We don't need to fix our body. We need to listen to it. And
Listen.
something magical happens when we sit there with our body and we just feel into our soft tissue contractions or our emotions. It just heals itself. And I think as adults, we don't do that enough. We don't sit with ourselves enough to just feel and to integrate and to heal. We're always so busy with our mind. We're always trying to fix things with our brain. We're like, I need to fix my shoulder. Let me dig in with a ball. Like, maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's better for you just to meditate for 10 minutes on like, how does my body feel right now? So that's the question you want to have in this type of somatic-based meditation. So it's a body-based meditation. It's not like a mind one. I'm not trying to quiet my mind with this. Is a different meditation practice, right? It's more of a meditation practice of just sitting, just feeling, just being with your body, with you sitting upright, perhaps. Maybe you could even be laying down. You could try it laying down, but laying down is tricky because you might fall asleep. It's very relaxing. So I like to sit upright and just, sit upright as comfortable as I can. Try not to move. 10 minutes at least. If you can go longer, perfect. You could do 20 minutes. You could do an hour. You'd be surprised. It's like literally like, instead of giving yourself a session, let's say with me, you could just sit there and just feel into your body. Notice the different types of pulsing, engagements, the activations, the tension, the density. Be aware of it. Don't try to change it. Just be with it, sit with it, and it's going to start to change on its own. In fact, like 2 weeks ago, I was sitting there and I was working with my therapist online, and my body therapist, and we were doing emotional work, and I had this tension in my, right here, and I was like, oh, I feel this tension. And when it's on myself, I forget how to do it the right way. So he reminded me, he's like, just feel the tension. So I sat there and I felt the tension. He gave me like 1 or 2 minutes is all I needed. And all of a sudden I started to cry. And it was just because like all this energy built up in right here, my forehead. It was too much thought, too much stress, too much worry, whatever it was. It doesn't matter what it was, but ideally is like when I started to feel into the tension in my forehead, I just started to just cry because I didn't have a chance to sit with myself and feel anything. I was too busy just doing.
Yeah. And we need to honor the body.
Yes.
It's giving us a message. We need to listen. Yeah.
Yes. So another thing is that, again, my pain, my tension, it's a message. We don't need to delete the message or kill the messenger or erase the pain. Yes, we need to do these positions. It's helpful to do these positions so that we can bring more ease and healing and maybe get the body to heal and release. But in fact, if you notice these exercises we're doing, they're still listening. You want to listen. They're still not forcing. It's still not trying to fix. So make sure that when you do these exercises, it's more like, right? And it's relaxing. And it's not you trying to fix it. It's not you trying to find it. Oh, how can I release that tight muscle? Because when you try, it doesn't work. When you try too hard, the body's like, fuck no, I'm not releasing. Why am I going to release? I feel unsafe. And now you're giving me too much of like judgment. It's judgment.
Judgment, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I want to let you go. I don't want to take too much of your time, and thank you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Really, I really appreciate you, your referrals. I really do. And it probably is 3. I just have to look at your file. I probably have like at least 3 people that you sent to me. So I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you resonate with this, that you appreciate it. And that
I really do. Everything that you said, it makes total sense to me. And I'm like, why don't I? Because that's what I do also. I tell people that in my job, and I'm like, why don't I actually apply it on myself?
We are the worst clients of ourselves. We are the worst. Yeah. And honestly, like, that's how it is. I mean, I'm like that. You know what I tell people? I'm like that barefoot shoemaker,
Yeah. It's always the same.
It's like I'm barefoot, I'm making shoes, I'm giving everybody the shoes, and then I'm like, and they're like, why are you barefoot? I'm like, yeah. Meanwhile, you go into my body, I'm like, shit, I have pain. Now I have like pain in my elbow. I'm like, I gotta work with my friend to try to heal that. Like, it's crazy, but it's funny how like I'm always serving others and I forget
to serve yourself.
And also, like, again, it's not easy to step into healing for ourselves. Sometimes we do need a little bit of support. So all you need is like me reminding you, because you know all this, everything I'm telling you today, and you intuitively feel into it and know it, but it's like, I'm just reminding you of this. And in fact, these techniques like of orthobionomy, this is called orthobionomy, or positional release. When we're sleeping in bed, at night, in the middle of the night, and we change positions because we're uncomfortable, and then we fall back asleep. That's what we're doing. We're basically, that's like the level 1 of this. And right now what we're doing with specific stuff is called level 4. It's sort of like us actually creating the position. But intuitively on phase 1 is what they call it. Phase 1 is like when you're like sleeping in bed and you intuitively just, you're not really thinking, you're intuitively moving your body to a place where you put another pillow here or there, and or you lay in your stomach all of a sudden, and then like you fall back asleep. That's doing this following these principles.
Wow.
Right, of self-corrective mechanisms of our body. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So our body knows. Our body knows. And so we just need to find the position. I mean, I have a hammock that I hang in over here. And I sat in my hammock, and it's like a silk hammock, and it closes me up. So it sort of feels like a hug. So I was laying in that, and I was talking with my friend, and I just started crying. Why? Because I felt like my body was being hugged. And I didn't even realize, I'm like, that must be what it is, because it felt so safe, like a cocoon, you know?
Yeah.
And so our body knows, you know, it knows how to heal. And sometimes all it takes is a little bit of a compression, and a little bit of like a feeling of safety. And even in Japan, I saw this video once of like on Facebook where they put you into like a hammock or like a sheet, and they wrap you up and they put you into fetal position into a ball, and they tie it up tight and they leave you there for like 5 minutes. And when you get out of it, you feel like brand new. Your back pain goes away. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the Japanese are very smart when it comes to stuff like this. And so yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, I feel like it would be cool to have a place in Manhattan where people did that, where you come in and they just tie you up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's very comfortable. It's like fetal position. It's like they put, and you know, even when babies, you know, they used to do that with babies, right? You wrap the baby up, you make them tight and compressed. That's following the same.
Safety for them. Safety for them.
Safety. Yeah. And also they have to feel safe because they left the mother's womb and they're like, what the hell's going on? They're so used to being engulfed and compressed and supported with some sort of something. I use a gravity blanket. I sleep with a gravity blanket. I love it. It's like 25 pounds. It's heavy, 25-pound blanket. It's laying on my body and it's compressing on my body. It's a really great relaxation tool, even if you're just going to take a nap in the middle of the day and relax with it. But yeah, I recommend it. You pick one up on Amazon or whatever. But
I have a husband.
You do have a husband, yeah.
He gets on me. I'm like, it's not 25 pounds.
Maybe a little more. But actually, more weight's better. But you have to, you know, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right balance. No, like, you know, adjusting. The cuddling is great.
Okay.
Yeah, have your husband hug you like from the side.
Yeah.
You know, and do the same thing with your shoulder. So from the side, he can hug you like this, right? Gently and safely, and then compress you and just hold you there for like, I don't know, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Believe it or not, it may actually get your body to release. It's kind of cool. Worth trying.
I'll try.
All right, Salima.
Thank you so much, Edan. And have a good night. And
thank you so much. You too.